Chapter 5, Mental Wellbeing. Kelly Farr joined the Royal Air Force in 2003 when she was just shy of 25 years old. She served for 17 years as an avionics engineer. My final posting was at RAF Cosford from January 2015 to March 2020. This base was the RAF Home of Engineering, and I spent the initial 3.5 years of this posting training new aircraft technicians, she says. During this time, I completed a neuro-linguistic practitioner course, NLP, and oh wow, it completely changed my life. I understood so much more about other people and more importantly about myself. Kelly says that something inside her had sparked during the 6 days of NLP training, and subconsciously she knew that her life would take a very different path from then on. Alongside my role as an avionics instructor, a few months post my NLP practitioner course, I started delivering a 5-day human performance course at RAF Cosford on behalf of another squadron on base. I did this alongside Jamie, who now happens to be my husband and business partner. This course had the most incredible, life-changing impact on the participants. Their words, not mine. As one of the two sets of instructors for the course, the pair trained hundreds of students from across the Ministry of Defence, MOD, and Tri-Service arena. We absolutely loved the content we were delivering and decided that when we both eventually left the military, we would launch our own training company. We did not know what we would deliver at this stage. It was a fledgling idea. Over the course of the next year, which happened to be my final year serving in the RAF, something amazing happened. The squadron I delivered the human performance training for asked me if I would like to go and work there full-time, says Kelly. I never thought this would be possible as my trade was so on demand, but after a few months of talks, I was released from my avionics instructor role and moved across to join Force Development Training Squad. This is where I discovered my calling, she says. Despite being the most junior rank in a small team, Kelly found freedom in her new role that she had never had before. Kelly realised that freedom was exactly what she had been yearning for, although she never expected to encounter that realisation while serving in the military. It was during this period of my life I knew my passion lay with helping and empowering others, not fixing aircraft. My days were so varied. Some days I was coaching neurodiverse students and staff. Others, I was delivering the human performance course. Some days I was assisting people with force development or team building activities, and others I was organising guest speakers for the staff and students. Every day was different. Over the next 6 months, I also qualified as a teacher and a mindfulness teacher, says Kelly. On completion of her mindfulness training, Kelly created and delivered a mindfulness course for the MOD, and it was here that things really started to fall into place. I realised that our business post the RAF would be based around well-being and promoting positive mental health, says Kelly. Jamie and I also qualified as first aid for mental health instructors in our final few months of service. We were both content that we had gained the necessary qualifications and experience to confidently launch a business in our chosen field. Now Kelly and Jamie run YourNorth, a mental wellbeing training and coaching company. YourNorth delivers accredited first aid for mental health training, accredited safeguarding courses, wellbeing masterclasses including happiness and kindness, managing stress and goal setting, mental well-being coaching, personal development coaching, mindfulness and hypnotherapy. Well-being is promoted and developed across all aspects of the training and coaching we provide, says Kelly. We discuss the benefits of looking after our well-being and the effect it has on our mental health when we deliver first aid for mental health courses, and also when we deliver our well-being masterclasses. Ascertaining a coaching client's level of well-being is super important, as more often than not, the reason they come for coaching is not the reason or limiting belief they are presenting, says Kelly. We are regularly approached by a business group that we are associated with called Welsh ICE to create and develop workshops covering topics such as stress and resilience and mindfulness and mental health. We are also regularly contacted by people who require signposting to other professional agencies. In addition to the formal training they offer, YourNorth are very active on social media, and the majority of their posts are based around providing valuable well-being content. They also run a Facebook community group associated with the YourNorth business page called MyNorth. This community group promotes positive mental health and well-being, and the members are encouraged to post funny and uplifting content and share their wins, big and small. This community has been nurtured as it is a safe space, so members feel confident to reach out for help should they need it. We launched YourNorth in March 2020 during the first COVID-19 lockdown. Who launches a face-to-face training company during a pandemic? Anyway, we did, and even though we had to go back to the drawing board almost immediately to redefine our business, we knew the value of what we had to offer, especially during the challenging times we found ourselves in, says Kelly. We have been delivering our services online throughout the pandemic, and we're very excited to head back into the classroom in June 2021. Looking back on our first year of business, we are so proud of what we have achieved and how many people we have helped, either directly through our training and coaching or through the information we are pushing out on our social accounts. Kelly believes that self-awareness is the key to improving well-being, that how aware a person is of how they feel, think and behave will determine how open they are to change. I encourage everyone to develop a growth mindset and to become open to exploring a different approach to areas of their lives that can be improved. Many people adopt an attitude of, "I've always been like this," and potentially label themselves. This fixed mindset is a barrier and a limiting belief, and this can be challenged through gentle yet effective questioning and by encouraging curiosity, she says. In an ideal world, prevention is better than correction. So if someone can incorporate techniques into their daily lives to build resilience, they will be better equipped to deal with the inevitable ups and downs of life. However, depending on what the client discloses to me about their presenting signs and symptoms will determine the specific advice I offer. For example, if someone tells me they have a suspected mental health condition, I will always recommend they speak with a healthcare professional or contact a relevant professional agency. For those looking to generally improve their well-being, Kelly's advice would be dependent on the area they wanted to work on. For physical health, drink plenty of water and eat nutritious food. Keep active and move every day if possible. Be mindful of using drugs or alcohol as coping mechanisms or to aid sleep. Keep on top of personal hygiene, she says. Kelly also recommends spending time in nature, going outside and getting fresh air and vitamin D. If this is not possible, then sitting by the window, having indoor plants and being around animals are also wonderful for improving well-being. If sleep is an issue, consider implementing a routine to wind down before bedtime. This will involve avoiding phone and computer screens for about an hour before bed, says Kelly. Do something relaxing like have a bath, ensure your bedroom is comfortable and a cool temperature. Binaural beats are fab to assist sleep as the frequency is engineered to slow down brainwaves. Lavender essential oil on your pillow is also really helpful. Creativity is another of Kelly's recommendations. There are plenty of in-person and online groups offering a diverse range of activities. Crafting is a fantastic and a wonderful way to introduce mindfulness into an activity. Take up a new hobby or revisit a hobby you used to enjoy but for some reason stopped doing. Physical self-care such as yoga, sleep, stretching. Emotional self-care like journaling, stress management and compassion. And social self-care such as personal boundaries or ending toxic relationships are all examples of ways you can improve your well-being, she says. Building on this, nurturing relationships are so important for well-being. Kelly suggests reaching out to friends and family by phone or video message, especially if you are unable to meet in person. You could write a letter to someone you have not spoken to in a while, or alternatively, you could reach out to a support group or volunteer to befriend others who are feeling isolated. Create a support committee within your place of work, or if you are self-employed, join a networking group or connect with like-minded professionals. Whilst working from home, remember to establish a workday routine and have a dedicated area for a productive work environment. Find a balanced approach to work, says Kelly. Stress management techniques such as breathwork, exercise, sleep, meditation, journaling, grounding techniques, mood tracker apps, listening to music and Epsom bath salts, which increase magnesium levels and reduce stress hormones, are useful in this area. Kelly's next tip is around mindfulness. This allows us to remain in the present, observing our thoughts and feelings without judgment. Anxiety is future-based, therefore mindfulness is especially effective here, as if we are in the present, we cannot be worrying about the what next and what if, she says. Being mindful of how we speak to ourselves is paramount for our well-being. If your self-talk is negative, write down the opposite of what you are saying and repeat this mantra throughout the day. If you find yourself over-apologizing when you have done nothing wrong, I invite you to reframe "I'm sorry" with "thank you." For example, "Thank you for your patience" with my reply. Finally, gratitude. Gratitude is the secret weapon in the quest for improved well-being, especially during the challenging times we have found ourselves living in. It is important we focus on what we do have rather than what we do not have. Gratitude releases dopamine, which is the brain's reward center, and the more we are grateful for, the more we find to be grateful for. You can express and practice gratitude through journaling, telling people, writing letters, popping notes in a gratitude jar, or keeping a pleasant events diary, says Kelly. YourNorth is not the only company here to be run by a former uniformed service staff turned coach. Robyn Ramsell was a police officer before she became a trauma and loss coach, and now uses that experience to support other emergency service personnel and first responders. Robyn is also an advocate for mental strength and well-being, and uses a pragmatic and practical approach to help clients develop personal strategies to manage their situation and move on with their futures. My career as a police officer was not extraordinary. It was everyday policing. There were some major incidents, but the problem for me was not having the strategies to process what I was facing. In essence, I did not know how to look after my own mental well-being, says Robyn. In the end, it cost me my career, and I chose to leave a job I loved because I needed to put myself and my family first. I had to understand and acknowledge that I had been living in my survival self and blocking out my feelings. I had unconsciously built a complex defense system. I was not in tune with my body or mind. I was numb to life. After leaving the role, Robyn went through traditional therapy routes like counselling and psychotherapy. While she describes these as being fantastic, Robyn felt she needed more. I wanted robust strategies for managing what happens in life. I have learnt that we cannot remove trauma and loss from our lives, but we can develop strategy to move beyond them. I spent a long time going over what I had seen and experienced, which was helpful for a time, but I needed to find a way to break the cycle, she says. In 2020, Robyn lost an ex-colleague and friend to suicide, and this prompted her to move towards setting up her own coaching business. I decided I could not sit back and read about the mental health crisis affecting our emergency services anymore, and I wanted to be a part of the solution, she says. I think we put too much emphasis on crisis intervention. By the time somebody is in crisis, the personal cost to them and those around them is extensive. But mental fitness will not just happen. We need to work on it as we do our physical fitness, and it needs to be maintained. In order to help with the ongoing maintenance, which is so important for mental well-being, Robyn starts by working with her clients on increasing their self-awareness. It is key for them to recognise in themselves how they really are before they get into crisis, and have the confidence to seek help. The focus is on moving forward. It is giving people the tools and strategies they need to process what has happened and build personal resilience for what is to come. Particularly in the emergency services, you will hear people say it's just a job. But it is not just a job. It is an extraordinary job done by extraordinary people who need to be able to protect their mental well-being to enable them to move forward and face life with confidence and inner strength, she says. I would say every single person has the power within them to take positive control of their own mental well-being. It is about finding the right person for you to work with. Needing someone's help is not a weakness. I believe it shows great self-awareness and strength. There are so many options out there in addition to traditional therapies. Just because your GP or occupational health service offer counselling, it does not mean that you cannot take control of your own journey. For me and my recovery, coaching was the turning point where I really started to move forward, and that is why I do it now. Education is also hugely important for supporting and promoting mental well-being, as Recreate You CEO Claire Benson and Director Jennie Hughes know all too well. After noticing increasing stress levels among her students, experienced teacher Claire founded children's well-being business Calm Children in 2012. Meanwhile, Jennie had started writing educational articles for a parenting website alongside her work in education. Trying to explain parenthesis to bewildered parents in under 400 words led her to realise just how high curriculum requirements are now compared to when we were at school. Watching the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic on the children we work with, we realise that educational attainment and well-being are inextricably linked, they say. Stressed out people struggle with work, and feeling like you're not doing well creates stress. We saw the need for support which could address both, so we founded Recreate You to offer bespoke services tailored to the needs of individual children and families. Recreate You is a community interest company based on over 30 years of combined teaching experience throughout Greater Manchester and abroad. Our passion is helping people learn and grow so they can achieve their full potential. We offer specialist support to schools, families and communities with services that are designed carefully to include each of the 5 areas of well-being. From stress-busting mindfulness sessions to language courses for lifelong learning or nature walks to get people moving, we offer people the opportunity to find something that works for them, they say. Our work with children in particular will help the next generation to understand how to support their own well-being. Children who learn early on how to understand their mental health are more likely to develop into resilient adults who can then pass on these tools to children in their own lives. Our calm sessions use a combination of neuroscience, mindfulness, and relaxation techniques to explain how our brains work and what we can do to support our own well-being. This complements our other offers such as tutoring support and hobby sessions. We also offer support and tips via our social media. For Claire and Jennie, well-being means having a life that works for you and meets your needs. They know that this will look different for everyone, as everyone thrives on different things. The most important part, though, is to be honest with yourself and reach out for help if you need it. The Recreate You team have also come up with a number of hints and tips to help improve well-being, and it all starts with doing a genuine assessment on life as it is right now. The chapter headings of this book would be a great place to start. Under each title, write down what is working, what is not working, what makes you light up, and what makes you shrink down. This might feel scary at first, but it is only an audit. You do not need to act on it unless you want to, they say. Remember, this is not an audit of how well you have met society's expectations. This is an audit of how happy your life is making you. While this is a deeply personal activity, it can also stay private. No one else needs to see it, so no dodging the big stuff. You cannot change what you will not admit to. All the bubble baths in the world are not going to help that much if what is really making you miserable is the fact that you spend 40 hours a week doing something you hate, or that you have no time for hobbies because your partner refuses to take their turn doing the housework. So be honest, say Claire and Jennie. Once you have worked out which areas of your life need work and which are working well already, it is time to make a plan. Again, everyone's needs are different, which is a good thing because it means shorter queues for whatever you're after. Although we have divided life into different areas to work out a well-being action plan, it is important to remember that our lives do not fit into watertight compartments. This can be a plus or a minus depending on how you look at it. This echoes the concept behind this book, that everything is connected. One difficult experience can have knock-on effects in all areas of your life and well-being. On the other hand, so can a good one. Especially if you are short on time, that is good news because it means you can tackle 2 goals at once. One of our biggest recommendations for improving well-being is spending time in nature, so let us use that as an example, they say. If you have decided to go get more exercise from your audit, try planning a hike or some canoeing over the weekend. If you have written down give back to the community or make more friends in your life audit, look into outdoor volunteering opportunities. If your problem is feeling bored or uninspired, why not try a new outdoor sport like geocaching or surfing? Of course, it does not need to be something big like this to be useful. The Recreate You team also suggests that even just sitting in a local park for 10 or 20 minutes can bring huge benefits. Combining this with relaxation or mindfulness exercises can really help blow the stress away. And if you are not sure what to do, there are some free resources on the Recreate You website. If you do not have access to outside space, try getting some houseplants, herbs from the supermarket, or even growing some seedlings in a window box. Not only will you get tasty vegetables or pretty flowers, but nourishing another living thing has also been proven to increase well-being. Having a support network is another huge influence on well-being. The impact of loneliness on mental health is only just beginning to be understood, and it is already proven to significantly affect well-being, says Claire and Jennie. When you have been socially isolated, problems can start to seem much more overwhelming than they really are. If you have found yourself isolated, for example because friends have moved away, reaching out to local community groups and services, or signing up to volunteer and give something back to your community can be a great place to start and make connections. Claire and Jennie understand that sometimes making improvements can feel overwhelming. A life is a big thing to change. After all, it has taken you all the time you have been here to end up where you are now. It is a bit like steering the Titanic. Sometimes you can say change, but it might take a while to gather momentum to go in a new direction. Learning to create the life you want takes time, especially if you have gone through some tough experiences in the past. Just like we did not learn to walk overnight, it might take a few tries, falls, and even crying sessions before we see the results we are after, they say. Our brains remember things, so we have shortcuts when we meet a similar situation in the future. This means that old thoughts and patterns of behaviour tend to stick around long after they have outlived their usefulness. We need to give our minds a spring clean from time to time. In the sessions by Recreate You, they call this taking the thought to court. This works like putting the thought up on the stand and cross-examining it like a witness in a television courtroom drama. If it cannot prove it is both true and useful, it does not belong. Now that we have let you know the hard parts, it is time for some positivity, say Claire and Jennie. The good news is that taking even tiny steps towards improving your well-being is likely to bring benefits in terms of mental health. This is because one of the really key elements of well-being is a sense of agency. Feeling powerless is one of the biggest sources of stress around, and with everything going on in the world, it is easy to feel that improving your life is beyond your control. Their advice here is to look for the cracks. What we mean by that is that there is always something you can do, even if it is tiny. Like a rock climber scaling a seemingly impassable cliff face, you will always get at least a little fingerhold somewhere, even if it's somewhere awkward, unexpected, and mildly terrifying. But seriously, even something as simple as a phone call to a friend, searching for information online, or emailing a local service like ours can offer that all-important sense of being able to do something about it, they say. Of course, there is far more we could say, but if we had to condense our well-being philosophy down to a few sentences, we would say this: do the thing that makes you light up, reach out for help when you need it, and even the tiniest step in the right direction counts. Chapter summary. My personal experience has taught me how much of an impact poor mental health and well-being can have on life as a whole. It can be scary, dark, and lonely, and it is understandable that some people can see no way out. But if that experience has taught me anything, it is that it can and will get better. You just have to keep going, one day at a time, one step at a time, one breath at a time. Therefore, the information, advice, and guidance in this chapter really resonates with me, especially the following 3 things. Firstly, education, training, and awareness are absolutely essential. The more we can engage people in discussions around this topic, the less taboo it will become. Now, I don't believe that this is necessarily about teaching what mental health issues look like, but more about teaching what good mental health, well-being, self-care, and resilience are, so that they become the focus. It is important that we have an understanding of how to recognize illness and crisis, but we should be aiming for the good rather than living in fear of the bad. Secondly, the younger we can do this, the better. Initiatives are appearing all the time which teach children about mental well-being and engage them in activities that include nature, outdoor spaces, plants, animals, and all the other good stuff. I'm hopeful that these will increase and get better, especially following the COVID-19 pandemic. The world needs resilient adults, and this starts with ensuring our future generations are physically, mentally, and emotionally well. Thirdly and finally, learning and healing happens in all kinds of ways through all kinds of support. Therapy is a personal and very relational thing, so if I could give you one piece of advice, it is to have the courage to seek what is best for you and to challenge what is not. If you are referred to somebody that you do not click with, request someone else. Similarly, make the most of chemistry or taster sessions. You are not going to make any progress if you cannot trust and open up to someone, so make sure they are a good fit.